Alright, good evening everybody. It's your boy Akeen and welcome to today's vlog. Continuing with all of my previews for the 2013 college football season, today it's all about the Big 12 Conference, my favorite conference because my favorite team, the Texas Longhorns, is involved within this conference. Now I believe that out of all the major conferences in college football, this is the least predictable conference because so many teams are going to have to reload and rebuild on their teams overall because all the top impact players from last season are no longer with their teams respectively. So this championship is pretty much up for grabs. Any teams, I believe out of the 10 teams in the Big 12 Conference, 7 teams actually has a shot of winning this championship overall. Now I'm not going to name you all individually, but I still think this whole championship is up for grabs. Now I already mentioned there's so many players that are out and there's so many newcomer players that's going to have to step up immediately. Like Bryce Petty, the new quarterback for the Baylor Bears. He's going to have to replace a good season from quarterback Nick Florence, who had over 4,000 yards passing last season. Now for Texas Tech, they no longer have Seth Doohy. He's no longer with the team, so they're going to have to hopefully depend on Michael Brewer to be that true starting quarterback, and with a new head coach and Cliff Kingsbury, who actually tutored Johnny Manziel to a Heisman winner season last year for the Texas A&M Aggies. Now for Oklahoma, they no longer have star quarterback Landry Jones. He's now in the National Football League, so they're going to have to hopefully depend on either Trevin Knight or Blake Bell. I believe Blake Bell will get that starting nod week 1 this season at the quarterback position. He was more of a goal line threat in goal line situations for OU last season. He scored a lot of touchdowns within the 10-yard line. Also, other teams that I have to reload, West Virginia. The Mountaineers, they lost a lot of players, particularly on the offensive side. Their best dominant weapons, starting with their top 2 targets at the receiver position, Stedman Bailey and Tavon Austin. And we all know quarterback Geno Smith is now with the New York Jets. So Dana Holgorsen has a lot of work cut out for him this season, and he didn't really do too well overall in the recruiting this past season of college football, recruiting the high school players. Now, there's so many teams that have to reload, but there's one team in particular that I'm actually going to be rooting for. You already know my Texas Longhorns. They are returning 19 starters offensively and defensively combined. I really believe that they're the favorite to win the Big 12 championship, and that's why they're actually one of my headline news, because they have so many returning starters. They have a lot of experience. There's going to be high expectations from not only me, but from a lot of people, even in the state of Texas. Hopefully they can bring home a Big 12 championship. Now I have some impact players for you guys entering this season. They didn't have no big performances last season because, like I said, all of the top players are no longer with their teams, but I still think these guys are a major impact within their teams. Starting with the Texas Longhorns, my quarterback David Ash, 19 touchdowns and 8 interceptions last season to go along with 2,699 yards passing. Hopefully he's going to have a breakthrough season, but he could have been on my breakthrough list, but I had to put him as my impact player because he is the top returning passer of the Big 12 Conference. At the running back position, I have 2 players in particular that I like. Blake Seastrong out of Baylor, he had 1,012 yards rushing, 7.7 yards per carry, and he's definitely a home run threat. I think he's going to have a spectacular season. And from Kansas State, John Hubert, he had 947 yards rushing with 15 touchdowns. He's good running back, especially in red zone situation, and he would definitely get a lot of touches this season because Colin Klein is no longer with the team, so they're going to have to depend more on John Hubert and that ground attack for Kansas State. Sticking with the offensive side, Josh Stewart from Oklahoma State University. He had 101 receptions last season and 1,210 yards and 7 scores. He is the top returning target receiver coming into this year's season. On the defensive side, finally going to head over there. 2 studs at TCU, starting with Devontae Fields, who had 10 sacks last season, and he's the favorite to win Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Jason Verrett, his teammate at the cornerback position, he actually tied in the league last season with 6 interceptions to go along with 59 tackles. That's going to be a good returning starters on that defensive side. They're going to wreak havoc within this conference. And for Kansas State, they have a good player in particular as a secondary at safety with 50 tackles and 5 interceptions. Ty Zimmerman, he is their top returning player on the defensive side. And last but not least, from Baylor, Bryce Haggard, who had 116 tackles last season and 4 sacks. And I believe that this Baylor defense has a lot of confidence, especially having 7 returning starters back on defense. They have the experience, they have the chemistry within one another, and I think they have a lot of high expectations this season defensively to help out on the offensive side. I think that Baylor can have a good season even with the new quarterback in Bryce Petty. We all saw what happened last season with Nick Florence. He had a great performance last season as a one-year starter at quarterback. Now, breakout performance this season, I'm going to start with 3 players for my Texas Longhorns. At the running back position, Jonathan Gray. He had 701 yards rushing last season, and I think it's about time he needs to separate himself within the pack of the running backs with Joe Bergeron and Malcolm Brown splitting the carries with Gray. I think that Gray is that go-to guy at the running back position. Now, on the defensive side, 2 studs. I think they can have a good comeback season, starting with Jordan Hicks, the linebacker for the Longhorns. He missed just all but 3 games, the first 3 games of last season, but I think he's going to bounce back and make all Big 12 conference play, a conference player this season. And his teammate Jackson Jeffcoat. He had 4 sacks last season and he only played 6 games. He missed the 7 last games of ending the season due to injuries, but he is back this year, and I really think both these 2 players, Hicks and Jeffcoat, will hype up that defense overall, being one of the top defenses in the Big 12 conference. Now, at the quarterback position, I have 3 players in particular. I talked about Bryce Petty earlier for Baylor. I think he's going to have a breakthrough performance, just like how Florence did last season when he was the starting quarterback. Clint Shelf out of Oklahoma State, I think he got that starting nod. He is that go-to starting quarterback for the Cowboys, and I think he's going to be due for a good season. He had over 1,500 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. And a good comeback player in Casey Paha from Texas Christian. He started the first 4 games, led him to undefeated in those first 4 games, but he had to deal with a DUI arrest, and he was suspended for the remainder of the season. But during this offseason, he spent 3 months at a treatment facility to rehab himself, and he said that he matured a lot in understanding the truth about alcoholism and how to stay away out of trouble from alcohol and not poison himself and affect himself and his teammates. And I think he's going to get that starting nod over Trevon Boykin, the sophomore entering the season for TCU. Boykin actually struggled a lot last season. He was very inconsistent, so I think that Coach Gary Patterson has to go with Paul right away. This guy is a winner, and I really think that TCU will be one of the top, along with Texas Longhorns. They are the favorites to win the Big 12 championship this season. The Horned Frogs can win this championship overall and make it to a BCS bowl game. 2 more players I need to talk about as breakthrough performers. Tevin Reese out of Baylor. He's actually was a number 2 receiver last season, and Terrence Williams is no longer with the team, the number 1 target. So I believe with Reese being the deep ball threat, he will get a lot of yards and rack a lot of yards receiving and even complimenting Lachey Seastrong and balancing the passing and rushing attack. I think that Reese is going to have a spectacular year, just like how Terrence Williams did when he led the nation in receiving yards. And another receiver I need to talk about, Trey Matoyer out of Oklahoma University. He's a good receiver, and now with Kenny Stills bolting to the National Football League, Matoyer is going to be that number 1 guy at the receiver position. I think he's a great specimen, a good prospect coming out of high school, and I think he's going to be a great target for Blake Bell or Trevor Knight, whoever is at quarterback. Now, I only have 3 freshmen I need to talk about entering this season. Good recruits. Starting with Baylor, they picked up a great receiver, the number 8 receiver according to ESPN, and Robbie Rhodes. He has a good size, and he runs a 4.5 40, and I think he would be a good number 2 target, complement of Tevin Reese. For my Texas Longhorns, they actually did a good job during this offseason recruiting in the offensive line. They picked up good offensive players, leading with the top interior lineman and Darius James. He can play the center or the guard position. And last but not least, from OU, TJ Ward, the defensive end. I think he has a chance to start right away at the defensive end position because they're only returning 4 returning starters defensively. And I think that TJ Ward can step up to the plate right away. And that's why I had to call him out as one of my incoming freshmen this season. Now, I have some games. The next game topic we need to talk about are the games to look at, the games that you need to mark your calendars for this season in Big 12 play. September 12th, TCU is going to be playing at Texas Tech. That's going to be a good road test for TCU. Hopefully, Cliff Kingsbury, and we're going to see how well Cliff Kingsbury can showcase that offense for Texas Tech, just like how he helped Johnny Manziel did at Texas A&M. October 5th, TCU is going to be traveling to Oklahoma to face the Sooners. That is a good game for you guys to watch. I'm going to give you predictions heading towards that game. October 12th, Texas is going to be playing against Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry in Dallas. That is a big game to talk about, and I will give you that news heading towards that game. October 26th, Texas is going to be traveling to TCU, facing the Horned Frogs. The Horned Frogs actually beat Texas last season, so they're looking to avenge that loss. November 7th, OU is going to be playing at Baylor. Baylor actually was giving OU some problems for the past seasons, and I think that they could do the same this season because OU has to reload so much, particularly on the defensive side, and they have a new quarterback. So that's going to be a good game to watch. November 6th, Oklahoma State is going to be traveling to Texas to face the Longhorns, and then on that same day, Texas Tech is going to be playing against Baylor, two good passing offenses. On November 3rd, Baylor is going to be traveling to TCU. And last but not least, December 7th, two games in particular. OU is going to be playing against Oklahoma State. They had a 51-48 overtime thriller in which OU won last season. That was a great instant classic to watch. And Texas is going to be playing at Baylor. That's going to be another good game for you guys to watch. Now, I'm going to end this video for like I did with all my other videos, give you my predictions for the awards and the winner of the Big 12 Conference. Offensive Player of the Year award, I'm going to go with Lake Seastrunk out of Baylor. I think he's going to have at least 1,500 yards rushing this season and help out that Baylor offense. He's going to score a lot more touchdowns as well. Defensive Player of the Year, I did say the favorite is Devontae Fields out of Texas Christian, but I'm actually going to go with Jackson Jeffcoat out of Texas. I think he's going to have a good comeback season, and he showed a lot of spark last season. I think he's going to roll the punches in this year and have a great All-American type season. Newcomer of the Year, I'm going to go with Charles Sims out of West Virginia. He was actually a transfer from Houston, and I think he's going to be that starting running back for the Mountaineers and actually try to help out that offense. Dana Holgorsen is going to use him as well as all the remaining running backs like Andrew Bowie, but I think that Sims is going to be that go-to guy, that one who's going to get the bulk of the carries coming towards the end of the season and give you some good yardage running the football. Coach of the Year, I'm going to go with Gary Patterson of TCU. And maybe Mack Brown, but I have to put him over Mack Brown because it is TCU, and I think they're going to be due for a better season. But I'm going to go with my Texas Longhorns in winning the Big 12 championship. Now, I don't really think my Longhorns are going to go undefeated, but I still think they're going to have a great season. They have a couple of non-conference games. I forgot to mention two non-conference games that I think they're going to get good warm-ups before heading to the Big 12 conference play. They play against BYU as well as Ole Miss, the young Ole Miss team, a talented Ole Miss team who's looking to redeem last season's loss. I'm going to give you my predictions when that game comes up, but I think that the Texas Longhorns is going to turn things around and keep Mack Brown out of the hot seat and win this Big 12 championship. Hopefully make it to Fiesta Bowl or whichever BCS bowl bid that they will get. I'm going to have to go with my Longhorns as the winners of the 2013 Big 12 championship. Now, the next time I'm going to catch you guys is on Thursday, where I will wrap with all my previews, where I would give you a non-AQ preview, where I would talk about all the other teams outside of the BCS conferences and give you all my impact players as well as my predictions of who will win the national championship as well as the Heisman coming towards the end of the season. I'll catch you guys Thursday. Thank you for watching today's vlog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.